with Pipeline ROI, one of the web designers here, and essentially I wanted to make sure and do a class specifically over graphic design tools. A lot of times people think that to have any kind of good-looking graphic design and images, they have to hire a graphic designer. And what's awesome is nowadays there's actually a lot of free resources that people don't know about that do a lot of the work for you and make it so it's completely possible to have nice-looking images yourselves. So yeah, anyways, basically our inspiration for today is Regina here. As you can see, if you're looking at the different images that she created, this is just a Pinterest board, so don't mind that, but essentially it's a collage of different blog posts that she's made. You'll notice that a lot of the images are essentially very similar, right? She made a template. You can kind of tell after a while that she does the same thing on her images, but she switches them up enough to where it's not boring. You know, this is a little bit more complicated than what we'll go because she did these kind of things in like Photoshop. However, I just kind of want to make sure everyone's equipped to be able to create images for when they're posting their information on social media. Also good for blogging. Essentially, as you guys know from just attending classes before, is the key with your website. Once you get a mobile responsive website up and running, the next key is figuring out who your target audience is, basically targeting your audience and targeting your content to that audience. So once you start making some good quality content to put out there, whether you're teaching people on, you know, the steps to buying a home, to getting a mortgage loan, to maybe even just what relocating looks like or how to stage your house if you're selling it. Basically, it's always a good idea to try and create some kind of consistent look and feel. That way, the goal here is to get good enough quality content out there that it gets shared by people. So what happens now is when people like me share some of her work, then it starts having a similar look, right? It starts being very clearly hers because you have like her logo down here and just a similar look on everything that she does. So essentially, like I said, this is just kind of a basic, you know, what the goal is here today. Definitely feel free, just in general, want to make sure and say if you have any questions, whether it's about graphic design or just anything having to do with our websites, please feel free to type it in the chat. Have some of my teammates here, so if it's kind of off topic and I don't quite get to it, one of them will be able to answer the question for you. But yeah, essentially we're going to cover brand building through visuals. So to get started, this is a program, a free program called Canva. You just go to canva.com, then you could sign up for this account. And what's so great about it, we'll go to the home page, is once you sign in, it gives you a lot of options. And the thing that's great about Canva is it starts you off with a lot of templates. Really the keys to some of these graphic design elements, these building your brand visually, is to have good quality images, to not use any crazy outdated fonts, keep the fonts looking nice and clean and modern. But besides those two, everything is about the template piece. Everything is about the framing of it. So I was clicking on that social media graphic there, and essentially it starts you off with a bunch of different options that you can pick from. So let's see, I'm going to scroll through these a little bit, find one that stands out to me that I like. As you can see, a lot of different options. So a key to do when you're looking through something like this and trying to creating everything from a template perspective. What's a basic image that you think you might want to use a lot? Let's go back to here real quick. Sorry, to break it down. You see how she has very similar framing around all of her images. If you look at them all at once, you could see that this is clearly a template that she made that she's just putting a different image behind and titling it something different every post. So we want to kind of do the same thing. It works great for when you're doing blog posts. And like I said, the goal here is that you want to make content that's good enough to share. So if you have images that you can share with that content, then it's just another way to get your name out there. So I'm just going to look through a few more of these real quick. And actually, I'm going to click on this one. So piece of what I like about this is rather than just having, you know, text on an image, like if we do this, let's see, if we do this, if you can see the color of the image and the size of the text is going to completely, they have to be in harmony, basically. So if you have some crazy colored image and you have text that's maybe a little lighter, there's just a chance that like you're going to have some images with something like this where they're going to blend together and be hard to see. It's not completely fail-proof. Something that I like about this particular template is no matter what image I put behind it, it's not going to interfere with the text. It's not going to make it so people can't actually see what I'm putting there. So yeah, let's go ahead and build off of this one. So the next step here is we want to start with a good quality image to add to this template. One resource, I know people are kind of intimidated a lot about how to find images and do they need to hire a photographer. Next week we're actually going to do, on Tuesday we're going to do a class completely based on how to, you know, use your iPhone to take good quality images for your site or your blog. Also how to pick good free for commercial use images if that is, you know, a route that you'd rather go versus taking your own. What works well with real estate is, you know, if you're able to actually take some images of houses around your area, it is hard sometimes to find houses that look specifically like your area. So if you're wanting pictures of houses on your blog, on your social media, just on your website in general, then, oh, there we go, then essentially you're going to want to take them yourselves. If you're a little bit more of, I just want to get a similar look and feel or create a certain vibe to the site, then free for commercial use images are great. So let's pull this over first. You guys ever go to freeforcommercialuse.net? It's actually an image resource that our team uses quite often. Scroll down and it's got a bunch of sites here, and a lot of them offer free, completely free to use images. You could use them for your business, personal use, anything. You can manipulate them. It doesn't matter. One of my personal favorites is Unsplash. And you could see scrolling down that basically every image that comes on this site is a high quality image. You know, it's just showing you a thumbnail version right now. But essentially if I click on any of them, it's going to show me a big nice version of it. So any of the images that come off of that site will be completely large enough to use on web. Like it'll work perfectly on any kind of online marketing that you do. So let's see. Let's say if I'm living, I don't know, Colorado or something, I just want kind of a general mountain feel. Actually, let's go back to the home because the home has some featured images too. I think if I scroll down, I might run into some good mountains here. Going a little fast. Okay, that's actually a great ocean shot there. Yeah, you know, I'm a Southern California girl originally, so I'm going to go ahead and use this ocean picture. Keep in mind, you know, this area doesn't, or this photo that we're finding here, it doesn't necessarily have to match your specific area. It's just more of what kind of ambiance are we wanting to create with some of these graphics. What are we going to want to use on these graphics to make them just visually appealing so people want to click on them. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and download this. Let's see, I'll save it to my desktop. Let's just call it 1. And then when I go back in here, I'm going to go to Uploads over here on the left and upload my own images. I'm going to click on the background first. Okay, cool. That way I just deleted it right there by clicking the backspace button. Just wanted to make sure that I was on the right layer. So if I click over here now, let's see. It's giving me kind of a funky shape. You can go in and edit it so it's a square, but honestly to me it's way easier just to, you know, click and drag it. And boom, it just pops in the back there. Okay, cool. So this will work fine. They don't have to be perfect. We just want to get kind of a basic feel of, you know, what a template might look like here. So let's see. Next, we'll go ahead and type in some text there. You know, let's see. For us, as a web designer, some blog posts I might do is like free high quality images for your blog. How to create graphics using free Canva templates, how to find perfect colors, a basic guide to Google Fonts. So essentially I'm just going to go in here and type in, say, free high quality images. I don't want to put that all in one line. How about for your blog? For your website. Yeah. Let's see. We'll stick to this free high quality images for your website. And then we'll put my name down here. I don't have a logo, so we will get into what I could kind of do instead that will look like it's intentional enough as a logo, and I could just keep on all the designs that I do. Let's go ahead and delete this layer. So if I just click on it, and if I shift click, I can click on both elements there. Oh, let's see, I missed that one. Needless to say, you can click on any of them and just delete it. It's super easy. So now if I click on the background here, and then I shift click on my name, that should let me move both up top. And then, yeah, let's call this maybe Champagne Designs. I do think that's a pretty good font for the top there, but I'll want to change this a little bit so it stands out some more and just creates, you know, a little bit of a difference, almost like it looks like a fake logo, for lack of a better word. So if I click this down arrow, I'm going to see a little more options here. One thing I noticed is this has like very big spaces in between the different letters. Fine for up there, not a big fan of it down here. So essentially what I want to do is click on text spacing there and then just squeeze that together a little bit more by sliding this over to the left. See how that looks. Okay. Now maybe, I don't know, I like more girly fonts, but you know, there's actually quite a lot of fonts here. I'm actually going to show you a little better. So if you click on that on any of the words that you're on, and then over here where it says Montserrat, gives you a full list of a lot of different fonts to use, all web-based fonts. So it's a good idea to just use, when you're using web-based fonts, by the way, essentially it's great to go ahead and use them in your graphics so that you can match them on your website. Some people, the beauty with something like Google Fonts, we'll pull this over here now. Let's go ahead and reload that. Is this has about 600 fonts or so that you can use on your website. They've done a really good job at having a library of a lot of different types of fonts. So and keeping it kind of simple though in your options. Let's see. So if I wanted to choose, let's see, just a serif font, I could unclick those other options there, push OK, and then it gives me some options over here of what to choose. And you know, it might not look there's a big difference there, but a good test to see, you know, if it's a good font for what you're wanting to do is maybe if I putting in whatever text I want to use it for. So put in champagnedesigns.com. That way I could see, you know, different styles of what the text is going to look like. Well, let's go ahead and go back to here though. I kind of like the idea of having a less than 600 to choose from because this is still a lot. So I want to see what a good script font looks like. So it looks just a little more handwritten. This is awesome. Let's see this. Okay. Let me see what other settings I have here. Click on the right arrow there. Maybe I won't uppercase. I'll take that off by clicking on it. And we'll change this to champagnedesigns.com. Maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, and just a quick breakdown here. If we go back to that Google Fonts page, your biggest ones, fonts that you're going to use on the site, usually people vary between this serif, sans serif, and handwriting. You know, handwriting is going to be something closer to script, like I'm using down here. This font up here is a sans serif because it doesn't have the little serif marks that you see. Let's see, let me show you kind of some examples here. So as you can see, there's little serifs here at the bottom of the different letters. I mean, I'm sure most of you know the difference between them, but just in case you don't, this is just an option. The sans serif has a little, or sorry, the serif has a little serifs, the little, gosh, what is an easier way to describe that? Actually, help me out if you get a chance. I cannot think of a simple way to describe that other than just they have the little lines here that kind of act as little lines at the bottom of the text, and then also with sans serif, there's a little bit more clean. So usually the rule, it's pretty simple with fonts. You either just want to keep them kind of similar. Tails, I like that, Ashley, thanks. Yeah, with the little tails. But yeah, with fonts, you just want to keep it simple. Essentially, when you're doing some kind of graphic like this, don't do any more than 2 types of fonts. And really, a simple way to look at it is either make those fonts look very similar or make them look very different. Like this is going to work okay because these 2 different fonts are night and day. This actually brings up another good topic though here. Essentially, let's see. Just one second, guys. Design. So if any of this feels a little too intimidating still, and you kind of want something to really get started from, you know, nothing with, you could also, they have a free design school that they do, and it's simple tutorials. If you just go to designschool.canva.com, and I'll put that in the chat box, then essentially when you're first getting started, there's a lot of options here that you can choose from to do different tutorials. You know, this is great. You can just click on these little tutorials and it'll teach you on a more step-by-step basis how to use this. I mean, as simple as click on the circle to change it to your favorite color. So just know that really you could get started with, you know, the very basics just by going there first. Really, it's not too hard though once you get in here and just pick a template. They do a really good job at laying out just a few different options that you can do. But essentially, we're just wanting to create kind of a good template that I can use on a lot of different blog articles. So really, this is kind of all that I need. This will get me, you know, a long ways. A good example is, you know, if we go back to picking photos, let's say I want to choose this photo now and download it. Oops. I'll save that as 2. Actually, what I'm going to show you here first is we'll go ahead, let's say this one's done. This one's good to go. Free high quality images for your website. Then I just click the download button up here and I will save, let's just do an image for web. I'm just planning on using this on my blog, so that's perfect. It's going to save a design for me. And all that prompt is just telling you that you can either use your own stuff for free or they do have extra stuff that costs about $1 a piece. That is an awesome name for an image. We will just call it blog 1. Okay, so now that I saved a copy of that, let's go ahead and play around with it a little bit more. I can go ahead and click on that back image and delete it, and I can upload my new image so we can just make another one. I can show you how simple it is. So I found that tree picture, I'm adding it in there. I'm going to just go ahead and shift and click. And then we'll call this one, let's see, how about a basic guide to Google fonts. And then if I want to move it up there, I could just do that, clicking on that, and then I could shift click on the text and move all of that up top. Maybe I don't want 2 rows here, and I could just trash this stuff. Yeah, I think I like 1 row, but I'll make that text a little bit smaller. Click there and shift click on the name. Oops. Thought I had it. Let's try that again. Click there, shift click. And maybe, you know, that's kind of dark on dark background. So if I want to change the color of this square block back here, I just click on it. And then I click this little circle here, and it's going to give me a few options. It's going to give me a few options here with kind of some basic colors, but if you click on this, it'll give you a full color wheel. Let's actually get into colors here for a second. So this main tool that we've been using so far, like I said, is Canva. You know, we've talked a little bit about Google Fonts as well. Man, I have a lot of tabs open. That might be confusing. Excuse me. So the next thing, if we're just needing a little bit of color inspiration, another site that we use a lot is called Design Seeds. So it's design-seeds.com. Oh, actually, it's letting me do the color picker. Okay, I'll show you the color picker too. Essentially, I can go and kind of play around and find a color here. We'll do colors 2 ways. As you see, as I'm kind of playing around, it's changing the box back here already. So it's not showing me the whole thing, but it's giving me a good feel of maybe a good color I want to use. So we can see what that looks like. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. If I had no clue and wanted to just kind of get a couple of colors in mind that I'll be using consistently through the stuff or throughout my site, you know, some people, a lot of people, if they have a logo, will ask us to match the colors of their logo. But if they don't, a lot of times they won't have a clue of where to start for colors on your site. So this designseeds.com, essentially, if you want a little bit of inspiration here, then you could just click on by color, you know, choose one that you kind of like this dark green, and it's going to give you a lot of different options. Usually we'll send people here. We even have, let's see, I think Ashley and I both have a Pinterest board dedicated to this kind of stuff of some of our favorite ones. What makes this site, this Design Seeds little palette site good is that it's not because, you know, you should be using all 6 of these colors. That's going to be overkill. That's like using, you know, 6 different fonts on a little graphic. I actually like the way Andrew put it this morning. It's like, when you get dressed, you're not going to wear, I mean, some people might wear 6 different colors, but essentially a lot of times you're going to stick with just a couple. You're going to try and keep it simple. So what we want to do here is just create a little more flexibility. If I knew that I liked that green, but honestly, I wasn't thinking that it went well with any of these other colors. And now I know that essentially it can go pretty well with any of them. So I can pick whatever my favorite is. And what's great about these is it tells us down here exactly what color code that is. So let's say I wanted to go with that purple instead. I can just highlight this area down here, and I'll copy that number. And that's just the hex code is what it's called. It's just the specific naming system for this color. And then when I click here and click plus back to this color wheel, you'll notice it gives us this option down here where we can actually put that number there, and it is that purple. So yeah, if you're just needing a little bit of color inspiration, like I said, you could come here. Gives you a lot of different good ideas. We use it for website stuff a lot. You could use it for any kind of online marketing. I have a lot of friends that use it when they're even deciding on colors of what to paint their house. So it's really just a great resource to get some good color ideas. All right. Thanks, Ashley, for putting that in the chat box there. Okay, so yeah, essentially, let's see. Now, let's say we're done with this one. Once again, I'm just going to download it up here. Image for web. So once you get the hang of this, guys, honestly, you can create a lot of this kind of stuff, you know, all at once. You know, you could spend an hour and come up with like 10 different images and be set for, you know, a few months, depending on how often that you post. Call this one blog 2. But essentially the idea here is that it's not as hard as you think. This tool helps a lot. Yeah, I like this one a lot too. See, this is a nice font. And really, another thing to think about when you're choosing fonts, they do a great job at getting you started with these free templates. And another thing to keep in mind is really you can use the same fonts like they're doing now if you use different weights. Like you see, like this one is quite a bit thicker, as is this one, and then these two are thin. That alone is enough contrast that it looks nice on a graphic. And then, let's see, let's get to the grid section. Another option that you can do as well is if you go up to that search box and type in grids, or it is also under this element area if you just pick grids. If you want to do a few pictures, you can do that as well. So let's say I pick that one. We'll actually stick with 2 since I downloaded 2. Yeah, I kind of like that one more. And then I'll go back to my uploads, and I can drag and drop that one in there, and drag and drop that one in there. Go ahead and send this to the back. Oh, that's why, yeah. I did a little backwards, but honestly, if you just play around with it, it's pretty easy to use. If you just want to send an image back, you just click on the back, and it actually sent the entire grid back, so it made it a little easier. Get rid of that background image real quick by just clicking on it and deleting it. That way it's a little easier to work with. Now it's up to you however you want to lay out an image. I kind of like having that little line break right here. It adds a nice element, but essentially if I wanted to do something here, I can do, let's see if I want to do designseeds.com. Okay, way too big, so I just highlight it and make it a little smaller. help find the colors for your site. Help find the perfect colors for your site. Basically, you just got to go in there and play around with it a little bit. I think I'll get rid of that actually. Move this up a little just by clicking. As soon as you see that little 4 arrow, obviously means you can kind of click and drag it. Just moving stuff around here, and yeah. So yeah, just have fun and play around with it. Let's see. I'm gonna move on to something new here. Go ahead and pull over our site. A new thing that we added as a team, actually, if we're working on any of your sites, just so you guys are aware, if you go to pipelineroiproperties.com, under Home and Our Images, brings up just a selection of our current available stock images. So let's say, let's say you were looking through something like Unsplash and you couldn't find exactly what you were looking for. You wanted something a little bit more specifically like different families. You can use some of these. I mean, really, these are more meant for us to use on your site because we have certain licensing agreements for these images. But if you're ever wanting to update your site, basically we'll do free quarterly edits. So if your site needs a little bit of a facelift and you might want some new house pictures on there or landscaping, we should have some different choices for you. I recommend kind of coming back here periodically and seeing what kind of free images we have that you could include on your site.